Yes, folks, hello, welcome once again to the channel, and today it's another action figure review. As you can see here, this installment is going to be all about the G.I. Joe retro card-backed Duke, the classified stroke not classified figure that has been released recently. And it's my hope that with my review thoughts and the experience I share with you today, you'll be able to make your own mind up if you're thinking about picking up a Duke of your own. So stick around because I'm going to share with you the unboxing experience. Sort of. You'll see what that's all about in a minute. But then get into the figure and talk about the aesthetic and the visual experience, talk about the articulation and posability, and then do a little run through of all the accessories and added value that are included so that you can, get a good, thorough look at what Retro Cardback Duke is all about. So let's not dilly-dally around, let's get into it and let's have a look at the figure. All right, folks, well, for the purposes of anyone who is regular around these parts, or for anyone who didn't catch my Scarlet video, right now you're watching footage of the unboxing of Duke that I would normally put into the review at this point, sharing my first instinctual reaction to the packaging, sharing my first instinctual reaction to the figure and the experience of removing it from the blister pack. However, I failed to plug my microphone into my laptop. To be clear, it was plugged into a laptop, it was plugged into my work laptop. I didn't notice that it wasn't plugged into my personal laptop that I use for filming, and so right now you're watching audioless footage of me unboxing the figure take place. Apologies to those who enjoy that experience with me and seeing that first moment of getting the figure in hand on my part, but what can I say? Chalk it up to experience. I ballsed it up. So I'll give you the quick abbreviated version of some of the stuff that I discuss as I'm running down the packaging and such like. We've got the Hector style artwork, but it's obviously a new version in that old vintage style, which I really appreciate. I get a great deal of pleasure unceremoniously ripping the back off the packaging and not taking any care with it whatsoever. I hate the sound of blister packs. I don't read the paperwork that they put in these things. I think that it's pointless, and some of the items were a little bit difficult to get out of the blister pack because of the way they'd sort of sculpted the blister pack around the accessory items. But I did finally, eventually, get in there, get my hands on Duke, and oh, there you go, destroying the package, which I then can't use for the intro I've recorded for this video. So there we are. Apologies. No audio on it, but I'll give you a quick summary of what I talk about. Throw away the paperwork. And yeah, that's the second of a couple of figures that I recorded in a row like this. So apologies if you enjoy seeing the unboxings, but we're just going to have to make it short but sweet today because, well, because I'm a dumbass. It's as simple as that. So let's now stop with past Chris and go to past Chris and watch the actual review, shall we? Okay then, folks, well, here is the Retro Cardback Duke as he kind of came out the packet, raw, if you will, without any further embellishments or accessories added. And obviously, folks like me who are very hungry for the more nostalgic, more vintage-inspired look and feel to the figures are going to be very happy with the visual experience of the aesthetic of this guy, because your immediate kind of eyeball intake interpretation is that, oh, look at that, that's a good old-fashioned classic Duke from the cartoons and the comic books. He's got everything you would associate with that classic vintage look. He's got the, the tan brown shirt, collared shirt there. He's got the green combat pants, the brown boots, the flasher blonde hair. We'll take a look at the accessories in a minute, but they also add further credence to the deeply vintage inspired look and feel of the figure. So if you, like me, want to recreate, your G.I. Joe the movie scenes, and in fact, where's my Serpentor snake? That's what I need, is my Serpentor snake. But if you want to recreate those scenes or get the old Action Force comic covers made in three-dimensional photograph form, then this guy, immediate impression, is going to do it. He's got everything that someone like me wanted from that design. But zooming in a bit closer to conduct more of an inspection of the finer details of the figure, we can see there's a lot to like beyond just pure nostalgia overwhelming my heartstrings, because the finer details are pretty damn good too, and they're up to the usual G.I. Joe Classified series standard. Starting with the head, as I often do. The blue-eyed, square-jawed, all-American hero look of Duke is firmly present and correct. I mean, just look at that chin action he's got going on there. Well done, Duke. Excellent work. But that aside, it's a well-sculpted head. The facial features are well-defined. The paint applications are incredibly well applied. The blue eyes really stand out in there. The eyebrows are obviously very neat and tidy. So it's got good facial features. I know some folks were a bit uncertain about it, but in hand, I'm into it. It's definitely selling the Duke look and feel that childhood Chris remembers reading about and fondly enjoying from the Action Force comics back in the day. The hair sculpt as well, obviously a key part of his visual identity is that big flash of blonde hair there, and you can see that that's well sculpted. It's got some nice details in it, and even a little bit of a wash applied over the top of it to give it some depth and some texture as well. But even the head aside, moving down into the main torso of the figure, you can see that we've got some nice paint applications applied around the collar, his little insignia on the right side of his chest there. We've got the stars and stripes on his sleeve. Obviously, Duke has been reading his manual, his regulation manual, and he's got his patch on the right way around, giving the stars the highest position of honour on the right sleeve there. Plenty of nice fabric texture, creases, folds, pockets, buttons, all that usual detail that we're fans of from the G.I. Joe Classified Series line are present and correct, giving it some depth and some character. And that continues on down through the figure. You can see into the belt here with the sculpted buckle and the pouches with a few paint applications applied there to give it some contrast and some different colours. And then down into the legs. I'm pretty sure these are reuse, but they've got that kind of fabric texture look and feel to them with some nice bunching up over the top of the boots and then leathery effects there in the sides of the boots. Duke's also got some other extra trimmings like this bandolier across his shoulder with his hand grenade and some extra carry pouches. Hand grenade's got a paint application on it, but that's it. I'm finding this a little bit shiny, but it takes away from the shiny shirt syndrome there at the top anyway. But it's it's a little bit shiny plasticky. But then if you look at some of the other trimmings like the holster on the thigh, you can see that nice leathery effect there in the thigh holster. And again in the ankle sheath here. One thing I have noticed is that the colour tone of the skin on his arms blends a little bit with the colour tone of the shirt, the rolled up shirt sleeves here. Nicely sculpted again, by the way, the little shirt roll-ups there. My lights are under the camera amplifying that effect even more, but sometimes it sort of blends. It's not a big deal, but it's just something I noticed, and then once I did notice it, I couldn't stop looking at it, trying to figure it out, like you do when you get kind of locked into a thing. What else is there to say, really? It's just a good, solid, nostalgic reinterpretation of the Duke character in a 6-inch scale. There's not much else to say. It's up to the usual standard that we see from that design team on G.I. Joe over at Hasbro right now. I like it. It appeals to me. Obviously, I think if you weren't leaning into the wanting the nostalgic looks and you wanted the more contemporary, more science fiction style reinterpretations, then this won't apply to you, but you're probably not going to pick it up anyway. So if you want to lean into the nostalgia, if you want to recreate those famous scenes, this guy's a good solid addition to the collection in terms of the visual experience. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up on aesthetic. Right, on to articulation now then, folks. Getting started up top then, it's a ball at the base of the head, ball at the base of the neck, which gives you some decent down, some fairly decent up, all the way around 360, and some tilt action in there, so you can make your Duke look a bit confused if you're so inclined. Right. Then moving down into the main torso, you can see we've got a butterfly joint here on the shoulder, giving some swivel forward and back. You can see mine are very loosey-goosey on the figure there. Then it's the swivel and hinge in the armpits, giving you the full 360 and the hinge outwards like so, giving you the T-shape. Swivel at the top of the bicep and tricep. Nice pinless elbow that'll get you all the way up to there. And then pegged in hands as usual, giving you the full 360. And then on the right hand, we've got a hinge up and down. And on the left hand, we have a hinge in and out. Moving down into the main torso, you can see there's 2 points of articulation there. You've got this cut, this swivel just below his boobs, and then the swivel at the waist. The cut here is all right. It gives fairly decent forward, but you can see that's more coming from the waist than it is from the articulation across the middle there. Decent back, but if you push too far back, you get that little ugly gap there. And my swivel in there is a bit springy. It's not so great on that, but it's there. And then you've got the waist swivel, giving you a good range of articulation in the middle there, like so. Then coming down into the legs, it's the standard G.I. Joe Classified Series drop-down joint there, giving you a good range of motion forward, good range of motion out, and a little bit of back, although, as always, obscured by the arse cheek. Swivel at the top of the thigh. Nice pinless double knee, that'll get you all the way up to there. Boot cut, swivel at the top of the boots, and then the standard hinge and rocker in the ankles. So it's a good solid range of articulation. It's up to the usual G.I. Joe Classified Series standard. The main difference, obviously, is the difference in the torso articulation. I'm not entirely sure what drove that choice necessarily. He's not particularly a figure who needs that shoulder swivel like you might with, say, Bazooka, for example, wanting that range of motion with his big shoulder-mounted Bazooka. But I like what it does in terms of aesthetic because it doesn't break the view of the shirt at the front there, and I find it more aesthetically pleasing. So I'm happy and comfortable with that. So overall, thumbs up in terms of articulation. I've had lots of fun posing this guy about, and the possibilities are, massive, especially when you consider the selection of accessories that come with him. And on that note, let's take a look at those, shall we? Okay, then, first item on the accessory agenda then is the helmet. You can see there that it's a decent, solid fit and stays on firmly. That's not going to fall off anytime soon. Leaning very heavily into the vintage-inspired design with the shape and the colour and all that good stuff. It's even got the visor on it as well, which has got little hinges at the side. So you can bring the visor down in front of his face and get real proper OG-13 if you were so inclined. So that's good, that's solid, that's fine. I'm not a fan of the helmet, but that's just a, different strokes for different folks kind of thing. I much prefer to have the blonde hair and make him look more like he did in the comic books that I used to read. And he didn't wear the helmet a great deal in the cartoon either, did he? But if you're a vintage figure collector, then that's a nice little touch for sure. Sticking with the vintage figure, the strong vintage figure inspiration for this version here, you can see they've included the binoculars with him as well. Single piece of black molded plastic, got some sculpted details in there, obviously easily identifiable as kind of a fancy binocular thing that you can use with a neck strap on there as well. These are a little squiffy. I'm not so keen on the way they sit across his chest there, particularly when he's got his bandolier on. They do, if you take the bandolier off, they do sit a little bit better, but the rigid neck strap means they're a bit funny to use. They're not great in his hand either if you want to hold them up to his eyes. But, they're there. They're included. Drew then comes with a number of weapons. We've got the classic look cartoon laser rifle pew-pew thing. It's in the green molded plastic with a slightly darker kind of grey-green butt on it there. Obviously, again, leaning very heavily into the vintage figure inspiration with the colour choice of the weapon moulding. I like these. I think they're fun. I think they're a nice addition to the line. And I'm very pleased that we're seeing these crop up more and more often for those of us who want to recreate our favourite cartoon scenes. Then we've got this submachine gun shooty pew-pew thing, again in the green moulded plastic to be reflective of the vintage figure. This is also the weapon that is most inspired, most reflective of the original vintage gun that Duke used to carry. Nice piece of single moulded plastic, lots of lovely details in there. The green colour is certainly not as egregious as the green colour on Scarlet, but still not a massive fan when they choose these wacky colours. The laser gun's sort of alright, but the proper gun isn't. Movable magazine, all that usual McGubbins, but yeah, decent. Then we've got this little pistol here. This is in black moulded plastic, so definitely stands out against the two other weapons. This has got a more contemporary look and feel to it, a little bit more of a science fiction-y style edge. Got the little barrel there to put your firing effects in, but it looks a bit more modern and up to date. This can be stored on the figure in his thigh holster, like so. Whoop. And then we've got this little knife here. I quite like this, actually. Always a big fan when they paint the blades in the metallic knifey colours. Got the handle there in the brown, and then a nice little bit of brass on the edge of the handle too. So it's a nice little, a bit decorative as well as functional. But not much else to say, really. It's a knife. You can store this on the figure too by sliding it into this little ankle sheath there, like so. Then we got the backpack. It's in the kind of beige colour, again, to lean very heavily into the vintage inspiration with the little kind of fold-out shovel thing across the back there, and a couple of paint applications across the caps of his water cantinas. Always like it when they apply a bit of colour and a bit of character to the backpacks, because they're always so well sculpted, but then always a bit bland, so I like this. And you can see there's some kind of chipping and dents along the edge to look like the shovel has been in use. And then we got the quote printed, the text printed on the shovel, which is the lyrics to the G.I. Joe theme song. G.I. Joe, a real American hero. Whenever there is trouble over land and sea and air, G.I. Joe is there. Real American hero, G.I. Joe is there. And then that pegs into the back. Usual routine there. Got a hole across the bandolier and then a hole in the base of the bat. Popping it in like so. Then we have a couple of hand swaps, one for each hand, the left and the right. I've just popped this one here on his left hand in the fist configuration. Nicely sculpted, although as you can see the colour scheme clashes a bit with the skin tone of his forearm. But that is what it is. It does bother me a wee little bit though, but you can see you've got the hinge, the forward and back hinge in there, and obviously we need one of those for a good old-fashioned Yo Joe. And then finally we've got the foot stand that comes with the retro line figures. Single piece of molded plastic with 2 foot pegs in it to go with the peg holes in the base of the figure's heels. Got the little G.I. Joe star molded into it as well. Obviously the Cobra one's got the Cobra symbol in them. These are good, these are handy. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'll keep repeating it until Lenny and Emily pay attention. I could do with a little pack of these. Just sell me a pack of 10 for $10, $1 a piece. I'll be there because I don't use these very often. I don't like having some figures on them and some figures not, you know what I mean? So they're good. I love a good foot stand, but I find myself not using them a great deal. So, thumbs up on the accessory selection. Yeah, I like these. Aside from the fact that it leans very heavily into the vintage figure, hugely inspired, obviously, by the accessory selection with the vintage figure. I just think they're nice to have. You know, it's good value. There's plenty of stuff in there. Gives you a range of options in terms of how you kit him out, how you pose him, what kind of combat scenes you want to place him in, whether you want him helmeted or not. You know, you can even have him peeking through his binocular, being all strategic and stuff. And you got the foot stand if you're collecting the retro figures and making a nice little retro display. So it's solid. Yeah, solid selection of accessories. Well, here we are then, folks. Here's Duke making his way around on the turntable so you can take a 360 look at the figure overall. I must apologise. I'm very boring and unoriginal. I've had him in the Yo Joe pose from the opening of the cartoon for the last couple of days in amongst some of my other Joes here, but I've not got much else to say. I think you've got the gist from the kind of review thoughts I've shared through the course of the video. I'm a fan. I like this one. This is the one I wanted. I like this one much better than the first release in the main line and the repaint release in the main line. I'm more on board with this one than I am with the more sci-fi inspired one. But your mileage will vary depending on what you're looking for from your G.I. Joe Classified. You know, I've said this before. I want to recreate the classic scenes from the comics and the cartoons that I enjoyed so much. I'm definitely going to get him out with getting him stabbed by Serpentor and sort of like. I do regret not picking up a Falcon. Well, no, I don't actually. Sorry, I take that back. I was definitely speaking faster than my head there. But in any case, it's a lovely figure. I've had a lot of fun. I've been enjoying him a great deal since he arrived. Well, I've had him for a couple of weeks now, and I've been just going back to him, engaging with him again and again and again, getting him out there. He fits great with loads of other figures like Stalker and Snake Eyes and the Scarlet, the retro Scarlet's a good complementary look too. So I'm into it and would recommend, definitely would recommend if that's what you're looking for. All right, ladies and gents, well, thanks so much for watching my video. I hope that if you've been thinking about picking up a Duke of your own, my thoughts today will help you make your mind up. And if that is the case, then please do me the honour of hitting the thumbs up like down below. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, then please do subscribe and join the MoDXtra Games and Collectibles viewing community. Still yet more G.I. Joe reviews coming down the pipeline, so I hope to see you around these parts again sometime soon. Got Metalhead waiting to put out there. I've got the 60th anniversary Infantry Soldier still in the pipeline, the Techno Viper, loads of good stuff. So would love to see you here again sometime soon. All right, all that remains to say then is I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next time. All right, take it easy, folks. Bye bye now.